Hello, my name is Jim May. I'm a storyteller and an author. I used to be an elementary school teacher. I started telling my students stories, and one thing led to another. And for 35 years now, I've made my living telling stories, and here's one of my favorites. It's about a friend of mine. I call her the Boo Baby Girl. She's about this big. She's about 2 years old. She's got chubby legs, she wears diapers, and she walks like this. You know the type. She attended the Pied Piper Nursery School, named after the famous story called the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Now, Piper plays kind of like a flute or a recorder. Now, if you've never read or heard the Pied Piper of Hamelin, have your mom or dad or aunt or uncle or grandparents or brother or sister read it to you, or have someone help you find it at the library. And if you're cool with going to the library yourself and checking out all those books and figuring out how to do it, you can find that story in the 398.2s, the folk tales. Anyway, the Boo Baby Girl heard a story at that nursery school, at the Pied Piper Nursery School. It was a story about a ghost in that town. And the ghost's name was Mabel. Mabel. And Mabel lived in a haunted house with a steep roof like this. That's called a gable. A gable. Now, most of our houses here in the Midwest have steep, pointy roofs like that, have gables, because we need those steep roofs for the snow and rain to slide off. Well, this house was known as the haunted house of Mabel's Gable. Nobody wanted to go in there, even though they said that Mabel was rich and there was gold hidden in that house. But no one wanted to go in there. No, sir. Nobody wanted to go in there because there were strange noises heard at night, and the place smelled funny. Finally, two guys decided to go in. They were big guys, mean guys, tough guys, 8th grade boys. The first one said, "You wait here. You be the lookout. I'm going in." And that first 8th grade boy opened the door of the haunted house in the usual proverbial manner of opening the doors of haunted houses and other spooky, scary places. It was a big door. That big 8th grade boy walked down the hallway into the house. He wasn't afraid. And that's when he saw it. A bag of gold on the kitchen table. And he thought, all right. Thought of all the stuff he could buy at the mall. All right. He was going to go to the Gap. All right. And he grabbed that bag of gold. But when he did, he heard a sound. The sound of the ghost. I'm the ghost of Mabel's Gable. I say the money stays on the table. He was out of there. Ran right past his friend on the front porch. His friend said, "Chicken, I am the bravest. I will get the gold, keep it all to myself." Second big guy, mean guy, tough guy, 8th grade boy. I'll tell you something else about him. He was a weightlifter. In fact, while he was waiting for his friend to come out, he stood on the porch and pumped iron. That's how guys get those big muscles. He was ripped. He had muscles everywhere. He had the six-pack going. And of course, you know what's really important for getting those big muscles? Clear nasal passages. Next time you see a big guy with muscles, say, "I know how you got those big muscles." "Oh yeah, wise guy, wimp. How did I get these big muscles?" "Because you got clear nasal passages." "Yeah, that's right." Anyway, that second 8th grade boy also opened up that door. He walked down that hallway. He was not afraid. He was a big, tough guy. Pump some iron. Clear nasal passages. Boom, boom. He saw the bag of gold, and then he thought, new pickup truck. He grabbed the bag of gold, and when he did, he heard the sound again. I'm the ghost of Mabel's Gable. I say the money stays on the table. He was out of the house, left the gold behind, scared to death. Well, the Boo Baby Girl was at nursery school, at the Pied Piper Nursery School. She heard the story about the ghosts, the gold, the two guys, the whole deal, and she thought to herself, maybe I could go over to that haunted house after school and pick up some cash. She hiked up her diaper and she marched right to that haunted house on her chubby legs. Up the steps of Mabel's Gable with determination. She opened that door. Get ready for this now. She waddled down the hallway. Thump, 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 thump. When she got to the table, she saw the gold on the table and she thought, bubble gum. She grabbed that bag of gold and of course she heard that same sound. I'm the ghost of Mabel's Gable. I say the money stays on the table. And the Boo Baby Girl said, I'm the baby from Pied Piper. I say the money goes in my diaper. And she walked out of that house, a rich little lady. That's the end of that story. I love that story, and it's the first story that I ever published as a book. Can I show you the book? Here we go. It's called The Boo Baby Girl Meets the Ghost of Mabel's Gable. And you can find that in your library, of course. Well, I have made up some more stories about the Boo Baby Girl. In fact, 10 more, actually. And they are coming out soon in a book. The cover's already done. It's called The Further Adventures of the Boo Baby Girl and Her Sidekick, Bootsy the Cattle Herding Chihuahua. Can you see Bootsy right there? If I have time, I'll tell you another story about Bootsy too. But here's another story about the Boo Baby Girl. Now, if you like writing your own stories, if you like reading a whole series, like maybe you read the first Harry Potter and then you had to read them all, or you read the first Goosebumps and you had to read them all, or you read the first version of almost any story that has a sequence, where there are books that follow the first book, that's a lot of fun. And it's fun for writers, for authors too, because once I'd established the Boo Baby character, all I had to do is give the Boo Baby Girl another challenge, another problem. And of course, she's so heroic, and she's interested in adventure and taking up challenges. So you got another story. And here it is. Same character, Boo Baby Girl, about this big, 2 years old, chubby legs, wears diapers, walks like this. New problem, however. In this story, she has a dirty diaper. Whoa. And Mom says, honey, this is a problem. Your daddy and I would go to the store to get you some clean, disposable diapers because we're out, but the store is closed. And the Boo Baby Girl says, I'm in desperate need of parental assistance here. I know, said Mommy. I got an idea. Now, mommies are good at solving problems, we know that. So Mommy says, I bet in that old chest of drawers, in that old nursery where your big sister used to sleep when she was a little baby like you, I bet there's some old-fashioned cloth diapers in that old chest of drawers. The old-fashioned cloth diapers, that we ought to wash out every day. The old-fashioned cloth diapers that your daddy and I used to put on your baby sister back in the day when we were young and weren't so tired all the time. I'll get one of those. And Mom walks up the stairway, down a long dark hallway to a closet door. You see, that old nursery has been made into a closet, a walk-in closet, but they haven't been in there in years. Nothing in there but old junk and cobwebs and this and that. And in fact, the whole door was quilted in spider webs. There were little sacks of spider eggs dangling from the doorknob. There were little spiders hatching and dribbling down onto the carpeting. But mothers are brave for their children. Mom opened that door. Just a small door. She flipped the light switch. It didn't work. It was dark in there. But mothers are brave for their children. Mom walked into the darkness. She could not see the hand in front of her face because of the darkness. She was surrounded by darkness. But somehow, miraculously, magically, mysteriously, she reached out and she found the diaper drawer handles in her hands because her fingers had muscle memory because she had changed thousands of diapers. And she began to open that door, and then she heard a ghost. I'm the ghost with one black eye. Mom jumps, and she ran out of there, down the steps, right past the Boo Baby. And the Boo Baby said, "This is getting very uncomfortable, you know." Meanwhile, Dad was sitting on the couch watching the baseball game. As Mom went screaming and running by. Your mommy's a scaredy cat, sweetheart. I will get the diaper for you as soon as my favorite player hits a home run. Strike one. Strike two. Strike three. Loser. I will get your diaper, honey, because daddies are the bravest. Dad gets up and he walks up the stairs. He stops at the closet door and he sees all of the cobwebs and spiders and little spider eggs and little spiders crawling all around the carpeting. And Dad says, Dads are the bravest. And he opened that door. And he flipped the light switch. It doesn't work. I mean, it doesn't work. But you know what? Dads are brave for their children too. He walked into that darkened room. He could not see the hand in front of his face, but somehow, magically, mysteriously, miraculously, his fingers found the diaper drawer in the dark too, because he had also changed thousands of diapers. Dads who change diapers change the world. And he began opening that up, and that's when he heard the sound as well. I'm the ghost with one black. Hi, Dad jumps, and he ran out of there, right past the Boo Baby. And the Boo Baby said, Mommy and Daddy both ran out of the house, leaving me alone with the ghost. If you want something done right around here, you gotta do it yourself. And the Boo Baby hiked up her diaper, and she marched right up that steps, down the hallway. She came to that closet door. She saw all the spiders and spider eggs and baby spiders. Opened the door. Flipped the light switch. I don't need a light. Marched into that darkened room. She felt around. She felt up for the diaper drawer, and she felt a drawer that was partway open, and she thought, this must be it. So she began opening that door, and when she did, of course, she heard, I'm the ghost with one black eye. And the Boo Baby girl said, You're going to have two black guys if I don't get my diaper changed. Oh! And the ghost got scared. And the ghost ran out of the house. And that's how the Boo Baby girl stood up for herself and got herself a clean diaper. And that's the end of that story. So, there's 10 more Boo Baby stories in that book that I just showed you the cover of. And maybe you can read it someday. It's not out yet. It's not available yet. Still being published, but I will let you know. And your librarian will let you know. And maybe your teacher or your parents will let you know. Okay, now, did you jump a little bit when there was a jump in that story? Now, the way you tell a story to make your friends jump is you pick kind of a spooky story, and as the suspense is building, like as the ghost is getting closer and closer, or as the ghost is speaking, you get a little bit quieter with your voice, and a little quieter still, so that your friends are kind of leaning in and listening to you, and we get so quiet that they're leaning in even farther. Then jump them like that. I'm going to teach you how to tell a story like that. We storytellers call them jump tales. And here's an easy one. Just watch my hands. When I say this, you say dark, dark. Kind of spooky if you can. Here we go. Dark, dark. Good. Very good. Now, each time you repeat that, you want to get quieter and spookier. So you got to start out kind of loud, and your voice gets lower and lower and lower and lower until you get to the end. Okay? I'm going to fill in the rest of the story. And then when we're all done, we'll do it together, and all of us will tell the story. Here we go. Once upon a time, there was a dark, dark night. And in the dark, dark night, there was a dark, dark forest. And in the dark, dark forest, there was a dark, dark house. And in the dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark room. And in the dark, dark room, there was a dark, dark box. And inside the dark, dark box, there was a ghost. You see, you start out with the biggest thing, the night. Nothing's bigger than the night. You can look up in the sky and see a good chunk of the universe. The next biggest thing is the house, or the forest, rather. The next biggest thing is the house, and then the room, and then the box. So as you're getting smaller, you're getting softer. Your voice is getting softer. Dark, dark night, dark, dark forest, dark, dark house, dark, dark room, dark, dark box. And just when your friends or your mom or dad or your little brother or sister are leaning very close, you say, inside the dark, dark box, there was a ghost. And that's how you do it. Okay, you want to do it with me? Everybody, here we go. Once upon a time, there was a dark, dark night. And in this dark, dark night, there was a dark, dark forest. And in the dark, dark forest, there was a dark, dark house. And inside the dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark room. And inside the dark, dark room, there was a dark, dark box. And inside the dark, dark box, there was a ghost. Try that on your friends. You can also find that story in a book, The Dark, Dark Night. And there's many different versions of it. Okay, does anybody out there know sign language? Sign language. Sign language, especially American Sign Language, ASL, that we're all familiar with here in the United States, is what people who are hard of hearing or deaf, what they use to communicate. And it's a beautiful language. And doctors, psychologists, and pediatricians, baby doctors are saying all babies should learn sign language because, for instance, some of you may know this one, it means more. And the doctors tell us that babies know when they're hungry, and they could do this to let you know they're hungry before they can learn the words. Before they have speech, they can do sign language. Pretty cool, huh? So you don't have to guess if your baby's crying or antsy. You don't have to guess what the problem is. You might otherwise say, honey, are you okay? Is something wrong? Is there a pin sticking from your diaper? Do you have a poopy pants? What's the matter, honey? You don't have to worry about that. If they do this, you just know they want more. They're hungry. So I'm going to teach you some easy signs, okay? So first of all, this means sign. Just kind of roll your index fingers towards yourself. Make an L. Make another L. Lean it forward a little bit, and that means language. Language. Sign language. So sort of like language sound waves. Sign language. Here's another one. Make a fist. Put your thumb over your knuckles like that and rub your heart. That means I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is useful if you get in a fight with your brother or sister and you want to make up because you love them, but you can't quite get the words out because they're such gunkheads to you all the time. You can start by giving them the sign for I'm sorry, and then you can say it later on, okay? Now, here's another one. You take your hand and you'll go around your face and you close your hand underneath your chin. It means beautiful. Every human face is beautiful. Beautiful. Here's another one. Two people together are friends. 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 You don't want to be away from your friends. You want to be together with your friends. 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 This is thank you. Thank you. Now sometimes it lands in the other hand. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. It's kind of a bow. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. And applause. Because if I could not hear you applause, I can see your applause if I am deaf or hard of hearing. Applause. And last but not least, very important, boring. This is the genuine American Sign Language sign for boring. Now, notice you do not put your finger up your nose. There's no reason whatsoever to put your finger up your nose. Your finger goes alongside of your nose. No reason to put your finger up your nose whatsoever unless you've got housekeeping to do up there and no one else is looking. Okay, let's see if we can do this silently. Let's see if we can experience for a few moments what it's like to live in a silent world that people that can't hear live in. So let's do those signs silently together if we can. Just do what I do. Here we go. Good job. Give yourself a hearing applause. Or I can say good job in sign language is kind of like this, like good job, or you got it, you're right. Way to go, Buster. Okay. So now I'd like to tell you a story in sign language. And I'll just go through it slowly. And you don't have to learn every single sign. Don't worry about it. Just learn the ones that you that seem right for you. And you'll be surprised how easy it is to learn some of these signs. So here's a story. It's a story about a caterpillar. So that just is like a worm going across your hand, that's a caterpillar. A caterpillar named, take your two fingers and chop, 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 chop. A caterpillar named C, that looks like a C, right? E. So how do you make a E out of a C? You draw a line through the middle. And we're going to do that with our thumbs. C, E, C, I, L. Cecil. A caterpillar named Cecil. Okay? Now, here we go. Let's practice that name a little bit. A C is really easy. And then you just turn your hand and put your thumb across there. That's the E. Then you make the C again. I is your pinky. That's pretty easy. And you already know L, Cecil. A caterpillar named C-E-C-I-L, Cecil. So here's the story. The first time I saw Cecil. Now the first is just a number one with a little bit of a twist. Makes sense, right? The first time. Time is where your watch could be. The first time I saw Cecil. So what we're going to do, we're going to give Cecil a name sign. So from now on, whenever you see the first letter of his name, C, you say Cecil. Let's just practice that part. Ready? Cecil. 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 Good. So, the first time I saw Cecil, he was this big. Now this doesn't really mean he, I'm just pointing at the imaginary screen where we're giving our signs. He was this big. I said, so I said is from your mouth, C is from your eyes. I said, Cecil, what have you been doing? Now, this is technically a D, okay? Kind of looks like a D. Don't worry about it. Whoops. Don't worry about it too much, though, because you just take your index fingers and you roll them towards you, and you got a look in your face that's curious, like, what's going on? What have you been doing? Doing. What have you been doing? Give me the goods. What's up? Talk me some trash, What are you doing? So anybody who knows sign language, if you do anything approximately this, they know you're asking, what are you doing? What's up? Cecil said, or Cecil answered, I've been eating one tree. Now actually, caterpillars don't eat trees, they eat leaves on trees, right? I've been eating one tree. I said, whoa, Cecil. Kind of disgusted. Try it again. Whoa, Cecil. Now, that's the first chapter. If you can do that, you can do the whole story, because the following chapters, the chapters after that first chapter, are very, very similar. So here we go. The next time I saw Cecil. Next is just you're moving your hands in front of the other, kind of your jump, leapfrogging your hands forward. That's because in sign language, we stand in the present time. And the past is behind us. And the future is in front of us. So if I were to say, long, 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 long time ago, back in the days when animals could talk and turkeys chew tobacco, I would be leaning back and doing this. If I was going to tell you a story and say, way in the future, when you'll be taking your grandchildren to the planet Mars on family vacations in your space Winnebagos, that's way out there. So, a little bit in the future, next time we see Cecil tomorrow, the next day, it's just a little bit in the future. The next time I saw Cecil, he was this big. So he's gotten bigger. There's always change in good stories. I said, Cecil, what have you been doing? Cecil said, I've been eating 2 trees. Now, I think if you have more than one tree, you can kind of sway the trees in the breeze like that. I said, whoa, Cecil, even more disgusted. Chapter 3. The next time I saw Cecil, he was this big. I'm going to go right off the screen here. I said, Cecil, what have you been doing? Cecil said, I've been eating 3 trees. 3 trees. I said, whoa, Cecil. The next time I saw Cecil, he was this big again. I said, Cecil, what have you been doing? Cecil said, I've been sick. You get it? He ate all the leaves on 1 tree and got this big. He ate all the leaves on 2 trees and he got this big. He ate all the leaves on 3 trees and he got even bigger. He got sick to his stomach from eating too much and he threw up. And he got small again. And that's a story called Cecil the Caterpillar. Well, you know, I mentioned that I might have time to tell you the story about Bootsy, and maybe I can do that. In my book that's coming out, The Further Adventures of Boo Baby Girl, her sidekick is Bootsy. You see she's carrying Bootsy there in her arms, and we call her Bootsy the bilingual cattle herding Chihuahua. Now, Bootsy is named after a dog that I had when I was a little boy. I was about 6 years old. Her name was Bootsy, and she looked just like that. She had brown and black and white markings. She really did chase cows. And in the story where she helps the Boo Baby, in many situations she also helps the Boo Baby learn some Spanish. So we call her Bootsy, the bilingual cattle herding Chihuahua. And here's, the true story about it. Now, we lived on a dairy farm. We milked cows. My dad milked cows. We had 30 or 40 black and white Holstein cows, big, tall, long-legged cows. You see them out in the field quite a bit. In fact, in my other book that I wrote, The Farm on Nipperson Creek, there's a Holstein cow right there. And my wife, Nancy, painted this book cover, and it's based on a farm that I used to live on when I was a boy and had a dog named Bootsy, okay? Now, you always think of cow dogs as being tough, you know, collies, German shepherds, Australian healers, Australian shepherds, tough dogs, you know, because they had to chase cows. Not on our farm. My dad liked crossbreeding these rat terriers with Chihuahuas. And that was Bootsy. Ornery little yappy dog. She favored the Chihuahua side of the family in form and temperament, but she had a country dog's heart. She loved to chase cows, and she loved to attack cows. She'd run up behind the cows and she'd bite them right in the heels. And our tall, long-legged Holsteins were so tall, they'd kick, but they'd kick right over the top of her and miss her every time. It worked out pretty well. She was a cattle herding Chihuahua. My dad used to make fun, you know, he'd bring neighbors over and look at that, cattle herding Chihuahua. And the neighbors would say, well, I'll be darned. That just goes to show you. Ain't that something? Cows could never figure it out either. The cows would be out in the pasture, you know, kind of chilling, you know, on a warm summer day, chewing their cuds. How you doing? Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing? I'm doing okay. How's your grass? It's pretty good. Could be better. Yeah, it could. We could use some rain. Yeah, we could always use some rain. Something just bit me in the heel. You two? Let's give it a good kick. Here we go. There's nothing there. Did you get it? No? Oh, there it is again. I'm going to kick it this time. There's still nothing there. Is this our imagination? Are we getting mad cow disease? Cows can never figure it out. Bootsy was doing all right. She'd bite him, she'd squat down, they'd kick over the top of her. Everything worked just fine. Until one day, my dad came home from a sale barn, from an auction barn with a new cow. We called her the brindle cow because of her color. She was a beautiful kind of brown and cinnamon and butterscotch swirls and little streaks of dark fudge going down her sides and chocolate colored bands across her withers, across her shoulders. She was the prettiest cow on our farm. She looked like a Rocky Road ice cream sundae with 4 legs and a tail. We kids thought she was the coolest thing. We thought that brindle cow hung the moon. But then we found out why whoever sold that brindle cow had sold her to my dad. She was a kicker. And that's one of the worst things for a dairy farmer to have, a cow that kicks. Because twice a day they got to go back by those hind legs, those powerful hind legs, and pull on those teats to get milk. And sure enough, 3 or 4 days after my dad bought the brindle cow, he came in from milking the cows and he had blood coming down the side of his face. He had been kicked by the brindle cow. Now we kids were amazed because my dad was born in 1896. Farmer all of his life. He was good with horses and cows. He almost never got kicked, never got his foot stepped on. He knew what the horse or the cow was going to do before it did. Now, we kids saw that the cow, the brindle cow, had kicked my dad and thought, she must be tricky, she must be smart, we're going to stay away from her. We're going to give her a wide berth, as they say. And we did. However, Bootsy never figured that out. You know, Chihuahuas don't have a lot of extra brains to figure things out. They got just enough brains packed in that little knobby skull to figure out and think about basic things, you know, like eating, sleeping, peeing on the rug, stuff like that. So, 2 or 3 days after Dad got kicked, my dad and I and Bootsy were out in the pasture on a summer's day, and we were chasing the cows into the barn to milk them, when Bootsy ran up and bit the brindle cow. Just ran up and sunk her little needle teeth into that soft, tender, fleshy part of the brindle cow's heel. And I thought, uh-oh. And sure enough, the brindle cow struck. Now, she was close to the ground, powerful, didn't have long legs like our Holstein cows. She didn't kick over the top of Bootsy. She kicked straight out like a punch, like a prize fighter, like a jab. Boom! Caught Bootsy right between the eyes. Boink. Punted her through the air. I stood in the pasture watching my Chihuahua spiraling into the clouds. My cattle herding Chihuahua had become a flying Chihuahua. And then she came down that same spiral. I was afraid she was going to corkscrew her tail into the ground. Instead, she hit with a sickening thunk, gave a couple kicks with her white feet. That's why we called her Bootsy. She had 4 white feet. Then the feet got real still. The arterial blood that was spasming out of her nose settled down, and there she lay, just as quiet and still and stiff as a board. Broke my heart. I put her in a gunny sack, a burlap bag, and I dragged her all the way home across the stubble field, across the road, all the way back to the house. That probably didn't do her any good. I set the sack at the foot of my bed. I cried myself to sleep. I was going to bury her the next morning in the ever-expanding pet cemetery. Next morning, I woke up. So did Bootsy. Jumped out of the sack, trotted across the planked floor, just as easy as you please, even cleared up this disgusting nasal snort that she had had all her life. I guess when that cow kicked her in the head, it must have knocked loose a calcified booger or something, because she lived 10 more free-breathing years after that. And I call that story Bootsy, the cattle-herding Chihuahua. And someday I hope that'll be a picture book. I'm working on it. Well, I enjoyed our time together. I hope you can tell some of these stories to your friends. And don't forget about going to your library, and looking for books, I'll just tell you again, the books that I've done that have been published are The Boo Baby Girl Meets the Ghost of Mabel's Gable, The Farm on Nipperson Creek for Adults and Young Adults, a book called, Trail Guide for a Crooked Heart for adults, and soon to be published, I hope, The Further Adventures of the Boo Baby Girl. But you can find this information if you Google Jim May Storyteller. And I hope that you, grown-ups especially, will read to your children and to younger friends that you have and tell them stories. An old storyteller teacher of mine, she was 90 years old, Catherine Wyndham from Alabama, and she would say, telling someone a story is like telling you you love them. You take care, all of you. Keep reading, keep telling stories, and I'll see you next time. Adios.